Ben Collins of NBC tweeted the following. Breaking, Facebook bans QAnon across its platforms. Facebook, quote, will remove Facebook pages, groups, and Instagram accounts for representing QAnon like any other militarized social movement, militia, or terror group. Wow. So Facebook's QAnon ban is the most sweeping content moderation step, he says, I've seen from any social media company so far. This won't just ban certain posts. Facebook will ban groups, pages, and Instagram accounts that post about QAnon. So, if you're a non-QAnon account, but you tweet something about QAnon, you can get deleted. Facebook previously banned QAnon followers that referenced the end game of the conspiracy, which is the purge or mass execution of Democrats and celebrities. Now it goes beyond that, and it's a ban on QAnon groups, pages, Instagram accounts, and if you mention it, you could get banned. So previously they had done like one step, and now they've progressed multiple steps to the point where, like I said, it's anything even vaguely QAnon related is subject to maybe get deleted. And, you know, they claim that the reason why is it's like recently the movement has been put on steroids and they're out of control with how much fake news they're spreading. And in some instances, it puts some people at risk because you could be, you know, you could be the subject of one of the conspiracies and they might wrongly accuse you of being a pedophile or something. And so, you know, that could put somebody's life at risk. And we've already seen, remember the Pizzagate scandal where they went to the pizza place in Washington, D.C., and there was a guy who, like, shot up the place or whatever, and that was based off of a lot of the conspiracies that he believed. They thought, you know, Hillary Clinton was running a child sex ring out of the basement of a pizza place in Washington, D.C. So this is, honestly, the media has been pushing for this for quite a long time, where I've seen so many articles where the media basically has been prodding Facebook, prodding Twitter, prodding social media outlets. Like, oh, really? You're just going to let this stuff proliferate on your platform? You're just going to let fake news go? You're just going to let these conspiracy theories go? Well, you're going to swing the election. And the other narrative that they've ran with is the election interference narrative, where they talk about these Russian troll accounts influencing the election or whatever. And in my opinion, it's really become sort of like this go-to thing for lazy corporate media people, where anything they don't like, they just sort of lump it in like, oh, that's just a Russian troll account. They literally tried to blame Black Lives Matter rallies on Russia. And they say, oh, they're stoking the racial divisions in this country. Oh, please. We have plenty of racial divisions as is. It's not like Russia really got involved and like, we're going to create the problem, or we're going to exacerbate it. It's so easy to just point at like evil, nefarious foreign actor for all of our problems when clearly we have plenty of problems on our own. So I do think it's a crutch that a lot of corporate media people have leaned on. But yeah, they've been prodding the social media outlets to do more, protect the integrity of our elections. And really what they mean is start banning and censoring more. Start banning and censoring the things that are fake news, or just the things that they think are fake news, right? So, listen, here's the reality of this in my mind. When it comes to the substance of something like QAnon, it's just not true. Like, they've said so many things that are just verifiably false. Like, we know that they're false. So I'm not in any way, shape, or form defending them on the substance. And also, anytime you do have a situation where there are direct threats of violence, that's totally fair game to get pulled down, because that's, even under our First Amendment, you're not allowed to make direct threats of violence. So we can be total free speech absolutists, but there cannot and should not be direct threats of violence. But again, beside that, I do think this goes way too far. Because what you're saying is anything QAnon related. Okay, well, what if somebody dabbles in the QAnon conspiracy stuff, but they never libel or slander anybody, and they never talk about mass executions or mass arrests or whatever. So you're not allowed to dabble in a conspiracy at all? Just the fact that if you write QAnon, you might get pulled down? You don't think that's overkill? Now, this is where some people would chime in and say, yeah, but Kyle, it's not true. I know, but that it doesn't matter. Like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's not true. Like, these social media outlets are supposed to be a forum where people go and say what they want as long as they're not directly threatening people or harassing people. You know? Like, you're going to have people who have diametrically opposed political opinions. Does that mean you ban the person who's wrong in their opinions? Or has the more outlandish ones? See, my point is, it's not just like, oh, this is a slippery slope that we will go down at some point. My point is, it's a slippery slope, and we're already halfway down that slope. And the perfect example of this is what happened with Reddit. Remember, they banned the Donald, so Trump's Reddit, and who else did they take down? Chapo Trap House. Why? Why did they take it down? Because the way it works is they find questionable things, or hey, there's too much shit posting, or maybe some threats or whatever. And so they'll go after the Donald for that. And then they turn around and it's a bunch of right-wingers shriek and moan like, oh, yeah, well, you took down us. What about the far left people? Because they're a problem too. And then the outlets will go, you go searching through with a fine-tooth comb through the Chapo Trap House Reddit, and of course you're going to find some things that are objectionable, and then, it's one of those things where take out the hatchet even though you need the scalpel and just axe the whole thing, and that's what they did. And this is going to keep happening. This is going to keep happening. It's not like, hey, once we start allowing these outlets to deplatform whoever they want, they're only going to use it in a reasonable and responsible way. We already know they're not going to use it in a reasonable and responsible way because they haven't. They banned the Chapo Trap House Reddit. Like, that's a problem. That's not okay. That's not good. We've seen it with Facebook where they've banned some anti-war groups. We covered a story recently where they went after some environmental groups. They said, oh, you're organizing for a protest against a pipeline. I believe the pipeline was in Canada. And they said, you could be organizing for some sort of a terror-related incident here. You're going to do some sort of property damage, and we can't endorse those kinds of crimes. So they pulled down an environmental page. You see the problem here? It's a package deal, guys. This is the point. You can't, let's start pulling people down, but just limit it to the people I don't like. Just those right-wing assholes. No, you already agreed to it in principle, and now the door's open, and so Chapo Trap House is out, some environmental groups are out, some anti-war groups are out. At some point, somewhere, we're on the list, eventually. I honestly think one of the reasons why I've kind of skirted and averted a lot of these things to this point is that I'm a white dude and I wear, official clothes. I got a button down, I got a jacket on, so people, he looks somewhat official. I'm not. I make fart noises on air and pretend to beat off like I'm Ben Shapiro. But I'm able to get around it just because of the official clothes, I think. But anyway, I digress. If you don't get that Ben Shapiro reference, that sounded very weird, didn't it? A lot of people are watching like, wait, what? What did he just say? It's a reference to a video where I was pretending to be Ben Shapiro and I did something like that or whatever. Anyway. I don't know how we ended up where we are. So the next logical question, though, is, okay, so you're going to take down the QAnon people. What about the 9/11 conspiracy? I feel like that's one of those conspiracies it's proliferated pretty strongly, but it's also uniquely despised among elite circles because it kind of indicts a lot of very powerful people. And so they look down on it the most, but it's also one of the conspiracies that's pretty well established, as in a decent chunk of people believe it. So what do? Okay, take down QAnon. You're not going to take down the 9/11 conspiracy people? You're not going to... Okay, why stop there? JFK. That's technically a conspiracy to say it wasn't just Lee Harvey Oswald. Well, guess what? According to polls, more than half the country doesn't believe the official story. Pull down those pages? People who speculate about that? People who bring that up? It just You open the door. You open the door. And then what do you do in instances where it's a conspiracy, but it's proven to be true? Like Gulf of Tonkin, for example. Not allowed to talk about that. Now, you could say, Kyle, these things are old. Now, the 9/11 one isn't that old, so maybe not. But again, step further. There are groups where some members of the group are violent, but the group itself isn't necessarily violent, like sovereign citizens. Like, there have been sovereign citizen terrorists who've committed attacks, but that doesn't mean that every sovereign citizen is a terrorist. There are plenty of sovereign citizens who just declare that I don't recognize the legitimacy of the U.S. government, and so I don't pay my taxes. They're probably going to get caught at some point, by the way, but there are plenty of people who are part of the sovereign citizens movement who say, yeah, I just don't pay my taxes, but I'm not like going to go hurt anybody. What do you do with those people? Is it, hey, you're part of a group where people have committed attacks, so we're going to pull you down? See, makes no sense. And then I haven't even brought up the same argument I just used against sovereign citizens. Like, okay, some people did violence who are sovereign citizens, but all of them haven't. So what do? They're going to make that argument against Antifa. They're absolutely going to do it. They're going to say, hey, there are plenty of Antifa people who do violence, who burn things down, whatever it might be, or have endorsed violence. What do? Pull down those Antifa people, or will they do the same approach they're doing with QAnon, where it's like, no, I'll just ban all of it. Yeah, but what about the people who didn't do anything wrong? They're just wrong. They're just factually wrong, but they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't threaten anybody. You going to pull them down? For QAnon, they say yes. What are they going to do for Antifa? I'm asking. Okay, step further. What about black nationalists? People who believe in a separate black nation. That, they have their arguments. Hey, black people were brought here as slaves against their will, and, they were never given the 40 acres and a mule. They deserve it. Like, there are black nationalists who believe in violence. Should you pull down them, or you pull down all black nationalists? It's just, you open the door, there's no end to it. Mark Zuckerberg used to actually make a free speech argument and say, no, we're not in the business of doing what you guys want us to do. This is what he used to tell the media. You guys want us to curate and filter and deplatform and censor. We're simply not in that business. We're a bathroom wall. People post what they want. That's what it is. Obviously now he's caving. So, listen, you guys know my solution. It's a solution that I think is a perfect solution, but plenty of people would argue it would just exacerbate the problem, and I think those people are silly and wrong. But I think that you need to regulate big social media outlets like they're public utilities and expand the First Amendment to protect people's freedom of speech. That's the only way you're going to truly preserve like the freedom and openness of the internet that we currently have. But unfortunately, we're going big time in the other direction now.